So I'm doing some testing on Siege Zoo with Tribal Flames. I don't have the Geist to St. Taft yet. And I'll quickly go over my deck in a minute. Do I want a mulligan? Keep. I can't see what he said to me, but I don't really care. Just buggy issues. We want to go for a Blood Crypt first, so that way we can cast a Temple Garden next. And then still hopefully have mana for blue. I'm thinking I want to test out Geist of St. Taft over the Knight of the Reliquary, but I'm not really sure if it's worth it. My reasoning being Geist of St. Taft is a really good 3 mana, 4 damage burn spell, at the very least. If I'm going up against burn, this is a horrid matchup. I mean, it's just the burn matchup gets worse and worse the more colors you splash, obviously. Because they can bring in Blood Moon and it just becomes a nightmare. It could also be a Delver matchup. Forked Bolt, yeah, that could have been also prevented if I played Naya, but whatever. I don't really mind. It does turn on Geist, so it's not like a huge deal. No, sorry, turn on Tarmogoyf. And Tarmogoyf has the ability to race. So we'll just go ahead and put out Tarmogoyf. If he is a Delver deck, Tarmogoyf is going to win the game for us. And then we also got Doran if we get there, Knight if we get there. One of the reasons why I like Knight is it does the same thing as Geist against the Delver deck. It's unboltable. In this case, it would be boltable, but if we got a fetch land, it's unboltable. It also helps mana fix, so if I get any land, I can cast Knight and then mana fix for Doran. And that's something relevant when I was considering just having, like, Vexing Devil, huh? I think we let Vexing Devil stick around. If he's stuck on 1 mana, we can have the game by killing this Vexing Devil. So it looks like we are against a red deck wins deck. Don't know why he would have a Vexing Devil or a Forked Bolt in his deck. We did end up finding the land that we're not going to use, but it will mana fix. Actually, we can cast Doran off of it as well. The question is, do we want to cast Doran and just take the attack? I think the answer may actually be yes, because it's a better use for mana. And then we can keep the Lightning Helix up for another turn. I don't think he's got a way to kill off my Doran. If he does, I'll be thoroughly surprised. But Doran allows us to hit for 4 if he blocks. Actually, yeah, and even if it blocks, it kills off that Vexing Devil too, without any worries. But in fact, Doran will block, and if he decides to bolt it after block, that's no big sweat. It's not hitting my face, so I don't really mind. I think he's probably reading Doran right now and then realizing that even if he blocks with Vexing Devil, he's going to lose the Vexing Devil. I won't lose the Tarmogoyf. We'll see if he goes for the block. If he does, that's stupid on his end. He just doesn't... There's a lot of people misplay when Doran's out. They don't really realize what Doran does. I've done it myself against like a Wall of Omens sometimes. Doran the Siege Tower is very, very good. It's stupidly good here. It blocks. It makes Vexing Devil, a 3/3, which is pretty good. It's Wild Noctil still. But it's not doing... Even if it attacks and I don't block, it doesn't do... It only does 3 damage to my face instead of 4. So we got an exiled Rift Bolt, which won't really matter. And with this Marsh Flats, what do we do with it? I don't think we want to take damage off of it, so we'll just put it out there. And we will Lightning Helix here. I could put out a Curd Ape, but I'm just not gonna risk it, This will jump my Tarmogoyf up in strength, and we're going to be attacking for most of his life. Really, the red deck's wins matchup is not this easy. This guy's missing a land drop, and that's why I'm winning. It's got nothing more than that. But it does show you what Doran does here. Doran is basically a Tarmogoyf Lord, as well as Kurdape Lord. I think I'm probably just going to crack this. I'm not hiding anything. His deck's pretty straightforward. Tactically, I would hide what this guy does. But just because I don't want to accidentally... I just want to yield till end of turn, let him do his thing. It's just testing. I mean, he can double up and kill like my Tarmogoyf if he wants to, which is what he's looked like he's doing. Personally, I would kill the Doran, because the Doran does more damage, and it also shrinks my Tarmogoyf by 1. But, you know, to each his own. Whatever. He's still at 1 life if he can't deal with this Doran, which I very much doubt he can. Pillar Flames and Forked Bolt's a little weird to have in your red deck wins, if you ask me. I can't believe Forked Bolt is like $6, $7 in like really real life now. We're just gonna attack and bolt. And we're running red. There's no real surprise that we have bolt. We haven't really surprised anyone with a Tribal Flames. But yep, this will just do it. End of game. What sideboarding tech do I have for red deck wins? Right now it's only timely reinforcements. I literally don't have anything else. I suppose I could go a little heavier on the removal here with a Path to Exile, but that's pretty much it. What do I side out against red deck wins with timely reinforcement coming in? The 3 mana slot, the Knight of the Reliquary. I would do the same thing for the Geist deck. It's just not that great. If I had a Geist in it too. The mana base is pretty much settled as to what I would use for red deck wins or Geist of St. Taft. I'm sorry, if I was running Geist of St. Taft over Knight. What do we got here? We got a Timely, we got a Siege Rhino, we got a Bolt. We do have access to Timely Reinforcements mana. I think what we keep this and hope we don't die is really the option here. Question is, I think we put out Blood Crypt and we don't put out the Kurdape. We could put out the Kurdape, but I don't think we do. I think what we do is we put out Blood Crypt and we take the damage for it, so that way I can bolt something on his turn if I have to. Again, we're playing a mid-range deck against this deck, so Kurdape is like a beater, really, is what he is. So he's like an end gamer after I've established board presence against an aggro deck. I mean, Tarmogoyf is better at that job, obviously. But if Ediclon of the Revels comes out here, I'm good to bolt it. I lose some damage, but that's exactly what I was trying to play around. Timely reinforcements, I do kinda would want to get the tokens, but I don't necessarily mind. The tokens are more for if he's got a board and I need blockers, but right now I got Kurdape. I'll get there. Yeah, people are confused as hell. Hey, look at that. We can actually fetch for a basic, which I would do. Something I'm going to do here is I will, in fact, let Kurdape be out there as a 1/1. If he tries to bolt it, I can go ahead and, if he tries to Pillar of Flames it or something, I can crack for a Forest. Pillar Flames and Forked Bolt were both sorceries, so I can do it at end of turn if I have to anyways. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have to regardless, because I can crack it on my turn as well. Since I'm getting a basic, it doesn't matter if it's tapped or not. Eidolon's fine here. Alright, I'm going to crack it. I don't think there's any, unless he has a shock. If he has Bolt, it would do the same exact thing. I can actually get a tapped land here because, well, I can. So the question is, what do I want to grab? I probably want to grab my Hollowed Fountain. No, I do need to get green, so I gotta check myself before I wreck myself here. Temple Garden's probably my best bet, since I've already got red out and I've got more red in my hand if I needed it. During the Siege Tower comes down, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to be lower life than him regardless of what I do here. If I put down the door and I'm not going to get the tokens eventually, I think what I'd rather do is cast Timely. I'm already low on life, so it doesn't really matter. I got to put a black out there. Green, white, black, so it doesn't matter what I put down. Question is, what would I rather have? I think I'd rather have red, in case I draw on a bolt. Let's see what I can do here. I don't want to attack because I want to rather have up blockers, and if he uses a bolt to hit me in the face, that's fine. But gaining 6 life, even if I'm taking 2 off of it and took 2 off of my land, it's still relevant. I'm still gaining life. And then Siege Rhino will eventually win me this game. Still go up to 17, which is fine. So he's going to bolt my Curt Ape, that's fine. He would have bolted that on attack anyways. He's going to lose himself some life. In the process, we're going to even ourselves out a little bit. But then I can Siege Rhino, and then I can also Siege Rhino again next turn. Do we take the 4 damage? That's the question. I think because Siege Rhino could block it, we don't. I think we let him have that guy. If you were to cast like another Siege Rhino, I would do it. If he Blood Moons me, you know, that's a Blood Moon. He's actually in a situation where he'll kill himself off of his own attacks, or off of his own, weirdly enough, he'll kill himself off of his own Echelons, while I can cast Siege Rhinos all day and block. So I'm not actually in the worst situation in the world here. Hollowed Fountain is probably better to put out here than Godless Shrine. And this means I can block the Vexing Devil. If he tries to use Burn to kill it, he's going to hurt himself a ton. But yeah, we put him in an interesting situation where keeping his Echelons alive is actually favorable for me. Again, if he attacks, he's going to get in 4 damage. Don't get me wrong. And I'd rather keep these Echelons alive for another turn. And if he bolts it afterwards, that's fine too. I've got another Siege Rhino. He takes more damage. He's actually going to really hurt himself off of that, and then eventually when all these Echelons are dead from blocks, I can go ahead and kill him. So he's going to Shard Volley here. If he's got another burn to back it up, he's still taking a ton of damage off of his own Echelons. In order to do 2 burns to kill it to keep his Vexing Devil alive, he's going to be taking 8 damage, which means any burn spell I play will basically kill him. So we are trading, which is actually perfectly fine with me. I don't want to take 4, so I'm going to go ahead and, again, slow rolling this. Slow rolling the Curd Ape and the Doran is going to be my best bet here. So we're at a point where if he plays a burn spell, he'll kill himself. Likewise, if he attacks and I don't block, he kills himself. Well, I kill him with Sea Tribe. So, attacking puts him in a bad spot. My correct answer is just not to block. I'll lose 4 life, but that's perfectly fine. And I go straight through. So my red deck wins matchup's actually not as horrid as one would believe. If you play smartly... Look at that, I got all my 5 colors out, and I still managed to win off of Siege Rhino. It just shows you the sheer power of Siege Rhino. The fact that Domain Zoo's matchup against Tribal Zoo's matchup against red deck wins is awful. And then Siege Rhino managed to do a lot for it. What we would have drawn next turn would have been a Wild Noctowl. We wouldn't have casted any of these guys. We would have just attacked with Siege Rhino. If we had to cast something, we would have cast Doran. That probably would have ended the game anyways. Alright, back with another round of testing here. Let's talk about hands. We can get a Temple Garden with this, but it's not the best in the world. This is that awkward hand where I need green, but I've got no real efficient way to do it other than going Naya colors. In this sort of situation, you just sort of have to go Naya colors and hope you just get the correct fetch lands later down the lines when Tribal Flame is going to be relevant. But we have Naya the Reliquary to fix it if we need to. We've got Path to Exile if we really needed to fix ourselves. I could wait a turn, just put Curd Ape out there and hope that I get green, but that seems dumb, especially with the Knight of the Reliquary in my hand. So I'm not going to mold this, I'm going to keep it because it's a keepable hand. But we're just going to basically be normal Zoo. That's one of the things with this sort of Tribal Flame Zoo, is the fact that I can actually pretty easily stay Tribal Flames, or stay as Naya Zoo. And then if I have the option to go to Tribal Flames, I don't need blue in this build. It's not like I have a Geist at St. Taft, and that would be something to talk about here. So if I had a Geist here, I'd have to crack this for blue. But I don't. I have Knight of the Reliquary. I'm debating Knight of the Reliquary, whether it's better than Geist in this version of the deck. I'm not using her for any tutoring, which is weird. Like, I feel like I should have Knight for tutoring, but it is actually mana fixing if I need it in this situation. But if I get a fetch land, it won't really matter. I'm not running Mana Dorks because I'd rather have the pressure. Mana Dorks in Tribal Flame Zoo is great. We're enabling the well, it looks like I should put down the Curd Ape now anyways. So that way I can maximize what I'm doing with my mana, because this would mean I have to get a Stomping Ground. But I'd rather leave this fetch. I think I'm going to do this as one of the weird requirements of Tribal Zoo, but it should be fine, especially if we get to enable Tribal Flames. I get my extra damage in. But yeah, so Geist, I worry that I look at other Tribal Flames Zoo decks, and I think like they're using things to make Geist better. Mana Dorks, for example, usually only 4. And that's also to give Geist a attack, well, not even attack boost, a defense boost. They're running things like War Clan Rampage or Mutagenic Growth, a bunch of stuff that are good on their own, don't get me wrong. And that's the key as to why they can be used, because they're also good on their own. But, let's see. We do end up getting white. Not that that matters, but it does turn on Nightingale Rock right here. I think we gotta go for, we need anything that's got green in it. But the question is, do we want to go with green-red over green-white? And I think the answer is yes, so we can enable having more choices here for Tribal Flames. And what I was saying, anyways, was the fact that Geist could be just an expensive burn spell, while Knight might be a little bit more resilient. They're both, for what it's worth, the same thing when it comes down to I should have casted Create first, but it looks like it resolved. They're both the same thing when it comes down to it, because against Delver they both don't die. The problem is with that's weird that he cracked it. I guess he just didn't care. Well, I guess we won. We had enough aggression. That is one of the good things, is this Nyazu's still good. So we need at least like a Delver deck, huh? Or at least he's got blue. So let's bring in Choke. And we don't want to take out Neither Rock if he is like a Bolter deck. We'd actually rather take out Curdate, because that's Bolt Bait. I think that's probably all we're going to do. Against Delver, sometimes I don't even bring in the Choke. This sideboard needs to change completely now that I'm bringing in blue. It's just since it's the holiday season. No one is selling cards right now online. So I can't even have Geist. Geist could be just a 3-mana burn spell. Knight could just be buffer. Against Delver, it's the same thing. It's not like one is better than the other. In fact, actually, Knight might be better than against Delver because it doesn't die to a block. So I wonder what we gotta do here. Anyways, back on target. We've got 2 Dorns, which is a little weird. That doesn't normally happen. A Wild Noctowl, which is great. We're going to start with a Temple Garden into Blood Crypt. Delver's Secrets, huh? That's fine and dandy. That means we got a target for our turn 2. Lightning Helix. And if he decides to go kill our Delver, he's in for a surprise. Because, well, then he's not going to have the mana to counter the Lightning Helix. Should he end up countering it? If he doesn't... Yeah, cool. So he did. Magma Spray is fine. Should turn on this guy. He might have a... don't get me wrong, he might have a... he might have the Spell Snare. We'll see if he does. Nope, he does not. Trade is a trade. A trade is a trade. Could put out Tarmogoyf, which is fine. We have a Path to Exile. Question is, do we want to do it on this turn? Probably not. I think what I'd rather do is put out my Doran. Because that way I can block and kill it. If he decides to bolt it, that's fine too. I'm going to be greedy, because I can be greedy against this deck and not care. He's by the way not expecting a Doran. That's gonna come down and he's gonna be like, holy crap. And if he decides to bolt my Doran still kills Tarmogoyf. And that's fine and dandy. My matchup's actually better against the Tarmogoyf version of Delver, because my Path to Exiles are more relevant. There's no tokens that I have to worry about. There's less chump blocking. He's trying to figure it out right here. And if we see him start being like, pay blue, draw a card, he's looking for his answer, and there he's looking for the answer. I have the ability to Path to Exile it. If he does not attack, that's fine, I can Path it. If he decides to bolt my Doran after attacking, it turns on my other Doran. He's probably looking at my hand going like, what, this is not a zoo deck. It's just this, and Zoo does go this high on the curve sometimes. It's not like it doesn't. Let's see if he's gonna attack or not. If he attacks again, that's totally fine here. I am okay with trading. Let's see. How did he kill my Doran? Oh, he traded. That's fine. So yeah, I got more pass than I know what to do with here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cast another Doran. I think I actually just path here. There's not really much he can do. It leaves me in a normal board state. I can leave path open for more stuff. I'd rather do it before he has the mana to counter it. He's gonna spend his turn looking for something to do. And at this point, mana is irrelevant. I guess he can cast a treasure cruise off of it. But, like, again, that's no big deal. He's going to be targeting Gitaxian Probe. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because he has no way to deal with this. I don't need to waste I don't need to waste mana on pathing a Snapcaster. It's not worth my time. It's 2 damage. He's up Schitt's Creek now, anyways. And I can bolt it as well, so there's something. I'm gonna go ahead and venture into counter territory. He counters it, no big deal. I get hit for 2, no bigs. He's looking for the counter. He's got to look for it. I think Doran's probably sticking. Well, no, he's breaking mana for it. If he ends up just bolting it, nope, he is not. So we're gonna go ahead and just Vapor Snag, sure. Vapor Snag, again, like, not the worst thing in the world. I'm up 5 cards in hand. He's at 0. I put down a Siege Rhino at this point. He was 2 cards in hand. I put down a Siege Rhino. He's screwed. Land would be the best thing here. Siege Rhino's fine. Again, once I play my Siege Rhino, I'm gonna say good luck, man. He's not even cracking the Arid because probably doesn't even have very much land. Yeah, we just win. You notice that I did not like do anything against that deck. I literally helixed one of his cards, and I got my my Wild Noctowl exiled from a magma spray. Other than that, pathed Tarmogoyf once, and then I've also just left it be. The Delver matchup against this deck is, I don't think I can lose. There's another version of Zoo where you just basically can't lose to the Delver matchup, and that's the one with oh god, what is it called? Chalice of the Void. But Chalice of the Void also limits what you can do yourself and sort of gets rid of your race option. It's a little bit better against combo, but it's still pretty. This is pretty good against combo. I can put in counter spells, for example, once I have them tomorrow. So the sideboard needs to change up completely. But again, the main deck is pretty solid. I wonder if a Geist is better. I can't tell you for sure if it's not. I need to try it out. I did hit a mana problem here where I just couldn't cast Siege Rhino. I'm past the point where I can draw cards. But at any point in time, I could have pathed to exile my own dude. I was up 1,000,000 cards. He drew 1,000,000,000 cards and still couldn't find answers. That's just what happens against this deck. That's why, like, even for all intents and purposes, Doran was not killable. Knight of the Reliquary wouldn't have been killable there either. So it would have been paid no difference if I played a Geist or not. So again, we got a keepable hand, something we can actually compare with Knight of the Reliquary. Tarmogoyf is going to be very sad this go around. But hey, maybe I'll draw a removal spell. This deck is very comfortable with going into the mid-range, which is something I can't normally say. I've got all my mana here. I don't need to fear putting out anything. I just need to figure out the order of mana that I need. I'm going to need probably a Temple Garden into Blood Crypt. And if I'm going to do that, this is probably where I'm going to get my Blood Crypt. This is probably where I'm going to get my Temple Guard. This allows me to get both my basic lands, and also allows me to get my Hallowed Fountain. You got to do that prior to even starting a game here. You have to think about your mana. That's the only way you can do it. So Temple Garden, I said I was going to get from... Well, I can get both. Get one basic from here, so it doesn't really matter. Temple Garden, I said I was going to probably get from here. And then Blood Crypt I was going to get from here. Yeah, so he's got a Hellbent card. What is he, like? Oh, so he's a Goblin deck? Sure. If you kill me with this Goblin, I'm going to be really sad. Nope. I'd rather not. Path to Exile is not a card I really want to use here. But let's see. Do I want to get a basic here? Put down Stomping Grounds at any point in time. No, I think I want to charge up my Nether Reliquary as hard as I can. Nether Reliquary on this hand, when I play it, can be a 5/5, which challenges Dorn, but Dorn's probably the better play because it makes Tarmogoyf better. It also turns off various things in the Goblin decks sometimes. So, the question is Blood Crypt or not. I think the answer is yes, Blood Crypt, because then I can... Any thing I draw is pretty good here. By thing I draw, I mean, you know, Tribal Flames. The idea is also I can fetch a basic with this if I need to, which I probably should. I don't have the Tribal Flames in hand. There's no reason for me to do it. I block Goblin Arsonist here, and Goblin Arsonist dies, go to the graveyard, makes my Tarmogoyf a 2/3. It does not die. Well, there's that. So, there's my bolt. Tarmogoyf would be so big right now. He'd be 3/4. He would have survived that. So with Tarmogoyf gone, well, with Tarmogoyf back, I think we could do a fetch land to put out a 5/5 in terms of Dorn. Do we want to put Dorn out there right now? Or do we want to put Knight out there? I think Knight does a better blocking duty, to be honest with you. Yeah, the question is whether I want to be aggressive or not. I think Knight does a better blocking duty because it blocks and sacks, and I can get I can sack this guy for a Hallowed Fountain. It also means I can cast like a Siege Rhino and then Path as well next turn. You'd have to use double removal spell on it. He attacks with a 1/1. Do I take it? I think I do. You can also Goblin Grenade me, but I think that's a sorcery. If you Goblin Grenades it, it's dead. That's interesting. Ghost Quarter, huh? You can take out one of my lands. Feel free. You have hasty 2/2s. I will block your Goblin Chieftain. Well, that does that. That solves that problem. Question is, do we want to put out the Siege Rhino? I think we do want to put out the Siege Rhino. It's immediate life swing. We still are going to keep up blockers with Knight here. But we're going to need to take 2 damage to do it. What 2 damage would we prefer? Probably Godless Shrine, because if he takes out my red here, I'm not caring that much. Siege Rhino, man, has immediate impact on the board. Knight of the Reliquary does the whole block thing better than Geist of St. Taft does. Geist of St. Taft would have actually attacked in there, would have died, because he, well, wouldn't have died, he would have blocked and then just did 1 damage. But if you put down a Goblin Chieftain in this situation, I'd have to force me to path the Goblin Chieftain. I think it's worse in this situation. Truth is, I need to play with more, Geist of St. Tafts to realize what Geist of St. Taft is. My feeling says that Geist is better against the mid-range decks than the control decks, and worse against the aggro decks and the tempo decks. So that guy's going to come down and toss, what, Knight back into my hand? Maybe he doesn't want to toss Siege Rhino back into my hand. I didn't get an attack here for a fair amount, but I kill off one of his lords, which kind of blows for him. Alright. Kill off one of his lords. I think that's the better plan here, is to kill off his Goblin Chieftain than this guy. Lose a lot of life. I mean, that's just something goblins do well. I guess I could have, tapped that in response, grabbed a path, pathed out another one, saved myself some damage. But you live, you learn. I think what I'd rather do here is I can put down this guy. It makes me lose 2 life, so I lose to like a bolt. Well, not really, because then he looks immediately afterwards. But so I lose 2 life, and then I go back up 3. That puts me at 6. So a bolt and him tapping 1, 2, 3, 4. So if he has bolt in hand and then draws a land, I lose, I suppose. But I think I'd rather not pay the 2 life for this guy and just put out Tarmogoyf. Kill off his Goblin Chieftain. And, yeah, kill off his Goblin Chieftain. Seems better. Seems like the better play. And we'll leave. Yeah, because the Echo, I forgot about Echo completely. Echo, that's actually way better. Because now he's got to lose his dude. He's back down to 1 dude. 2 cards in hand, 1 dude. Teetering Peaks, sure. We have a 3/1 here. He can do 4 damage. He's not going to do any damage. Let's see what we draw. It's making me hold priority, which is perfectly fine. Ghost Quartering away. That land doesn't do anything for me. Let's just put out my basic. What do we do here? We can Knight of the Reliquary and then leave ourselves up mana. It's not like I really want to break this guy at any point in time, but I will put it out because it's tactically better. Put out my Knight of the Reliquary. I think I swing here. Okay, 2 to the face, sure. I could path this guy potentially and get myself out of 2 damage. I think I gotta turn the aggro on. I think I actually do need to path this Goblin Arsonist, which is like hilarious. But assuming he draws a bolt, which does immediate damage, it does 3 and then he does 2, and I gotta win like next turn. This feels crazy to path this Goblin Arsonist, but this is what we're doing here. Not gonna crack this guy. Give him the mana, but I'm also gonna get in for damage, and that's gonna be that. Yeah, like I said. So there's that. Bring in the timely reinforcements, because that's what we do against aggro decks. Bring in the Path to Exile, take out cards we don't necessarily need, so things like Knight of the Rookwood did a lot there. Knight of the Rookwood will take out, because she's normally less of a beater. We'll keep the Curd Ape in and stuff, because those guys can block, and that's what we're going to be using them for right now, as blockers. If I don't have like a Tarmogoyf or something in hand, then we're going to go ahead and use them as beaters, but once the game stabilizes, beaters. But yeah, Knight shown, I think, twice in a row now. So maybe it's better than Geist. I think it's better than Geist in this deck. I gotta test with the Geist anyways, because, well, everyone keeps doing stuff with them, winning events with them. I'm under the belief that Magic's occasionally a hive mind game, and people just go with what they see, so success breeds success kind of thing, rather than making quote-unquote an innovation. I think Siege Rhino in Zoo is an innovation, especially with Doran backing it up. I think Doran was going to cut anything. Geist, I might cut Doran, but I don't want to do that because, again, Doran was just really, really good for me in general. It pumps my Curd Ape, it pumps my Tarmogoyf, it pumps my it's a 3-mana 5 damager, which is comparable to Geist. On the flip end, Geist can do 4 damage. On the far end, it also can't live past attacks, and that can. There's also rare situations where just Doran is like awesome against Affinity, because their plating sucks. We have access to the colors that we need. They probably have a Bolt. Let me see if I can be cool here. I also would like to get another land, so I'm not going to go ahead and fetch right away. No reason for me to anyways, because this guy would get probably a Godless Shrine. Put out a Curd Ape. This guy can block for more damage. On the off chance that this is a Goblin Guide teetering peaks. But also, if he had a Bolt, I'd be taking out the Bolt. He's done things like this before, where he's like killed my Curd Ape or my whatever is I put out front with a Bolt. And that guy would be Bolt bait, more or less. Deals 1 damage to my face. Perfectly fine. Tarmogoyf would die to that. Not anymore, but would have died to that. Godless Shrine. Oop. Put out the Wild Noctil. We'll swing. Technically, we should have put the Wild Noctil afterwards. So that way, if he bolted my Curd Ape, not my Wild Noctil like I was baiting for. But, you know, I'm allowed to make mistakes at, 2 in the morning. No Bolt. Not happening. Blood Moon might happen. Molten Rain happened instead. Trimming down on my Curd Ape. Well, if we left that untapped, I could have pathed my own dude and got myself a forest. At the very least. Well, that fixes that. We're going to need a mountain, we're going to need a forest, so we're going to go ahead and break this down into our stomping ground, because we have an extra one. That's right. So that seems desperate, but hey, desperate measures call for desperate measures, I guess. Do I leave it open in case he's got like another one that he's trying to do here? Kill my stomping ground. I'm pretty powerless. Well, if I put out a Goyf, it's not the worst in the world. I'm gonna put out the Goyf. There's a reason why he's $200. Let's show them that reason. I was considering keeping Path open in case he were to like Blood Moon me or something. Blood Mooning me, I could keep this guy at 2-3 and keep this guy at 2-2. But I think we might just see a concede. Concession! Can you beat a 3-4 Tarmogoyf? Especially on the attacks. Nope, we're not seeing a concession. Not yet. Guy's a fighter. We have blocker. I should have kept it open. I should have kept it open, guys. What if I got like a fetch land again? It's not gonna happen. That's what I thought. Well, I can still path one of my dudes if I need to. Path this guy to grow my other guy. What would I get? A mountain to power up this guy and still have tribal flames. I could get a... Well, no, I can't get a mountain. Regardless, let's attack here. Path this guy maybe to get myself a forest. I don't need to do it yet. I don't necessarily need to do it quite yet. The forest will enable me to put out Tarmogoyf Magma Jet on my Noctowl. That's fine. We'll respond with a path. You won't get to scry. And I'll get myself a forest. No scry for you. Thank you for powering up my Tarmogoyf. So you lightning bolted my my Tarmogoyf was your response. Sure. Fun fact, I'm back on track with my mana. So, alright, we got screwed, and we're actually doing fine. So, I gotta just show you something about this ability. That we can get, like, completely screwed over here several times with our lands and still manage to fight back. And not only that, still have perfect mana fixing? That's ridiculous. That is redonkulous. Not only that, if I draw a fetch, I can do 5 damage plus an extra 3. Ugh. This is ridiculous. Well, we know one thing for certain. Blood Moon probably would nuke me, but this hasn't yet, at any rate. I think the best use of my mana is to cast Tribal Flame, even though Tribal Flames is death next turn. We put more stuff on the field. Although a Siege Rhino probably means that well, it gains me life too, which is relevant. It puts him down to 2. It's the difference between putting him down to 1 or putting him down to 2. I think we win the game, regardless. I mean, we gain 3 life. We go back up to 9. That's not something you bolt. You could bolt me. You could kill me last turn if you had that. So you don't have that. Puts you down to 2, which means you're not really in a good area, especially with trample. I can trample over tokens. I think Siege Rhino is the correct play. Although this would, in a different board state, this might be a better choice because I could put more aggression on the board at once. Let's see. You got the double bolt and you drew another bolt. Well, you got lands. There's a Goblin Bushwhacker with a kicker, mind you, with a kicker. So we have some extra damage. We kill the Goblin Bushwhacker because on the off chance he can stink and do things, we want that not to be able to go back to his hand. Just on the off chance. It's not gonna happen. You should have had that Skullcrack last turn. Should have had that Skullcrack last turn. Well, it wouldn't have mattered if I put down Tarmogoyf instead. Still had a blocker. It's not happening. Draw a card. Just to see what it was. Timely Reinforcements. It we just gain some more life. You just do more life gain in case you had a chance. Yeah, of course you disconnected. Anyways, yeah, we could have won that game without even trying. Just 4 damage would have been enough. I in the past have not been a huge fan of Tribal Flames, but with Siege Rhinos and Siege Dorans, Tribal Flames gets a lot better. I gotta try Geist. Maybe Geist does a high enough damage output that it outweighs the fact that it might die. If it gets 2 swings in, it's very value city. And finish off with Geist or finish off with Tribal Flames or Siege Rhino. God, Siege Rhino is so good. Stupid good. It's different in the Zoo deck than it is in like the Junk deck, but it's stupid good. Just ends the game like that. Switch it up here. This is what it looks like right now. Don't even mind the sideboard. Here's the sideboard. Pause it if you need to check it out. It's not really that great. Timely Reinforcements is pretty good. Aven Mind Sensor is pretty good. As far as that goes, Slaughter Games I've never actually casted yet, so I don't know if it's good or not. I might need just better combo hate in general, and Slaughter Games is not the way to do it. Maybe it's like discard, and I should have Thoughtseize in here along with my Mardu Charms. Mardu Charms are there because they can be either junk hate, pod hate, or just discard for various decks. I don't know if I've got a better option, especially now that I'm in blue. I can just probably run things like Swan Song. Path is there because it's very good against the mid-range decks, but this is necessarily the cards that I would consider keeping versus the cards I might kick. These are good, don't get me wrong, but they're like I haven't seen them be awesome. This main deck is super solid. The mana base is super solid, as you guys saw. The testing for it worked out perfectly fine. If I was gonna add a blue here to support Geist, I would cut a Stomping Ground for the extra Steam Vent. Would it have mattered in the long run that last game that I had that I didn't have Stomping Ground? Maybe. But I would have probably put a Steam Vent in there instead. It's a little tough to rock Blood Crypt, Godless Shrine, Hollowed Fountain, and Steam Vents. But I think that's probably the order I would go. Otherwise, I might cut this guy for like a different card, like a Scalding Tarn or something. Depends on the mana base. I gotta see what the end result is. Depending on how much blue I have in the deck, it changes my Marsh Flats, is really what it changes. The other options are Steady. There will always be Arid Mesa. There will always be a Windswept Heath or Wooded Foothills. It's one of the two. But in this version, it's pretty much just this, and I'm just running the blue here currently for Tribal Flames. This will only change if Geist comes in. As far as... And that's only if I bring Geist in. If I bring Geist in, there's a chance it might take Doran's spot. There's a chance it might take Neither Reliquary's spot. I can't tell you which one it's going to be. I have to do a lot of testing with that. I think it might take Neither Reliquary spot. And if it does, it might just be a 3 of, and I might kick this extra Neither Reliquary out for a what do you call it? A Snapcaster Mage. Just because the fact of the matter is, if I have too many legendaries, it might screw me in the butthole. But I don't know. Again, this is the big debate. Guys, tell me if I should be running Neither Reliquary or if I should be running Geist of St. Tap. And I want to hear your reasoning. Don't just blindly tell me run Geist of St. Tap. That's what everyone else does. I'm honestly thinking that Neither Reliquary is probably better than Geist of St. Taft here, and I want to be persuaded that that's wrong. Regardless, I can tell you that Siege Rhino is better than Geist of St. Taft any day of the week. Just putting it out there. Just throwing it out there. Geist of St. Taft, not as good as Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino needs to stay and needs to be supported. That's it, guys. Thank you for coming on this journey of testing with me. And again, if you have any questions, you can go to the MTG Salvation, or you can hit me up on the comments below. I might be slower on the comments below than MTG Salvation. And remember to always feed your animals.